I'm Sherry Heiberg, and I'm hosting this week's Lore Maker's Guide to the Galaxy, a journey with the members of the lore team to explore the stories and science behind each system in the Star Citizen universe. Today we're examining the Oberon system. So let me just type it in the search box here. Click. And voila. Kind of a strange system, one of the reasons that I picked it. It was discovered in 2356. It's unclaimed by any government, not even the UEE, even though it's primarily human inhabitants in the system. It's located between 4 jump points, which would seem pretty strategically valuable for some settlement. However, the neutron star at the center of the system makes basically any attempts to live there very, very difficult. It makes terraforming next to impossible. It's just not a good time for anybody. However, it is a very good barrier between UEE and Vanduul space. This has recently been unfortunate for the inhabitants of Uriel, which I'll get to in a minute. So let's start with the star here. You may notice that it's extremely tiny compared to some of the other stars we have in the other systems. And the reason for this is that it's a neutron star, which is the smallest, densest star in the known universe. One with a radius of about 11 kilometers can have twice the mass of the sun, just like contained like in there, like a little tiny ball. To put that into perspective, the sun's radius is about 600,000 kilometers. So just think a little bit about that. You know, it's pretty amazing. That's why I like neutron stars. They were formed after the collapse of a supernova. They have very strong gravity. They have next to no luminosity. They're very hot. So, judging from that, they have next to no green zone. So you would think that no one lived here, but of course, the first 2 planets are inhabited because we're humans and that's what we do. So the first planet in the system is Oberon 1. The system here used to be a binary star system. And this planet is classified as a super-Earth carbon planet. It used to be the core of the star that once orbited in this binary system with the neutron star here. But the neutron star eventually ate up the entirety of the outer layers of the star, leaving only the core. So we have this like really dense ball of carbon, which of course attracted a lot of miners because they believe that there's a big cache of diamonds in the planet, crystallized carbon. Unfortunately for the miners who live there, not much has been found so far. There's a lot of graphite. Graphite's pretty cool, you can make pencils. There's lots of carbon, but only a couple of diamond veins have been discovered, and they have not been very profitable. So it's kind of a sad place to live, but people still believe, like somewhere in the planet, they're going to hit the proverbial mother lode. The next planet in the system is Uriel. Now this is kind of a sad story. A terraforming company, back when there were very few regulations on this thing, decided they wanted to do an experiment. And the experiment was to raise the core temperature of the planet and make it terraform through geothermal energy rather than the energy of the star at the center of the galaxy. I mean, the system, galaxy, whatever. It failed. It was considered a sure thing because of the propaganda advertisement that the company sent out. But so when it failed, we had these like shiploads of colonists who were just left abandoned with no recourse. They moved underground, which was the literal only safe thing that they could do. There are societies there that aren't ruled by traditional government bodies, but more families. Very family-based society. And if that weren't tragic enough, they were recently victims of a Vanduul attack. After the successful incursion into Vega, the Vanduul launched an attack on Oberon. Thousands died. It was really brutal for them in their already horrific and brutal existence. But luckily for them, when the Vanduul wanted to launch a second attack, Admiral Bishop, thanks to the intelligence from Operation Mandrake, was able to repel their next incursion with the 65th Battle Group. It was one of the first major victories we have seen against the Vanduul, repelling them out of the system. And right now there's a big military presence, just kind of as a buffer against further Vanduul attacks, and it may serve as a way for us to push into Vanduul space proper and actually get them instead of them getting us. All right, let's move on to Oberon 3 here. It is a protoplanet. Protoplanets are about the size of moons. I will remind you that the star map is not to scale. Just keep that in mind. Oberon 4 here is another protoplanet. Now, protoplanets are usually misshapen, kind of lumpy. They're small. They're leftover bits from the protoplanetary disk that formed when the system was forming. They're basically like little leftover pieces of planets. We have a few in our system, our solar system. We have Sirius, Pallas, and Vesta. They hang out in the asteroid belt. All right. Now let's move on to Oberon 5, if I can find it. There it is. Oberon 5 is what you would call a mesoplanet. This is a term that was developed by Isaac Asimov to describe planets that were small, had cleared their planetary neighborhood, and had achieved the equilibrium necessary to form, a planet shape, like more or less a sphere. Mercury could be considered a mesoplanet, but we still have it classified as a planet because the definition itself is a little murky. All right. Here is Oberon 6. This is a gas dwarf. I'm very excited to talk about gas dwarfs. They are, as far as we know, thanks to the Kepler survey, the most common planets in the known galaxy. And it's really interesting because we don't have any gas dwarfs in our system. They're sometimes called mini Neptunes. They're about, let me just check my notes to be sure I have this correct, they have a radius between 1.7 and 3.9 that of Earth. So they're not much bigger than a super Earth, and they're definitely smaller than a gas giant, and they're definitely smaller than Neptune. They have rocky cores, gaseous atmosphere, they're low density, and they're all over the place. When we're making planetary systems, I always make sure to push really hard to include gas dwarfs. So, little insider trivia is whenever you see a gas dwarf in a system, chances are I was the one who said, we really need another gas dwarf. They're so common. We need more. More gas dwarfs, everybody. And here we have Oberon 7. It is a classic gas giant, class 4. Its atmosphere is of carbon monoxide, so it's not exactly the most ideal place for refueling anything. It's a great place to go if you like suffocating. Suffocate, get out of your ship. Good times. Good times. So this is the Oberon system. It's unclaimed. It's full of miners, disaffected descendants of people scammed by a terraforming company. Recently home to a series of Vandal attacks, and now home to a strong military presence. Hopefully, they'll stick around for long enough to ensure that the Vandal don't come back, but we'll see what happens as the threat continues to unfold. Thanks for watching, everybody. I hope you enjoyed this installment.